110. Origin of knowledge. Throughout immense stretches of time, the intellect has produced nothing but errors. Some of them proved to be useful and preservative of the species. He who fell in with them, or inherited them, waged the battle for himself and his offspring with better success. Those erroneous articles of faith which were successively transmitted by inheritance and have finally become almost the property and stock of the human species are, for example, the following: that there are enduring things, that there are equal things, that there are things, substances and bodies, that a thing is what it appears, that our will is free, that what is good for me is also good absolutely. It was only very late that the deniers and doubters of such propositions came forward. It was only very late that truth made its appearance as the most impotent form of knowledge. It seemed as if it were impossible to get along with truth. Our organism was adapted for the very opposite. All its higher functions, the perceptions of the senses, and in general every kind of sensation cooperated with those primevally embodied fundamental errors. Moreover, those propositions became the very standards of knowledge according to which the true and the false were determined. Throughout the whole domain of pure logic, the strength of conceptions does not, therefore, depend on their degree of truth, but on their antiquity, their embodiment, their character as conditions of life. Where life and knowledge seem to conflict, there has never been serious contention. Denial and doubt have there been regarded as madness. The exceptional thinkers like the Latics, who, in spite of this, advanced and maintained the antitheses of the natural errors, believed that it was possible also to live these counterparts. It was they who devised the sage as the man of immutability, impersonality, and universality of intuition, as one and all at the same time, with a special faculty for that reverse kind of knowledge. They were of the belief that their knowledge was at the same time the principle of life. To be able to affirm all this, however, they had to deceive themselves concerning their own condition. They had to attribute to themselves impersonality and unchanging permanence. They had to mistake the nature of the philosophic individual, deny the force of the impulses in cognition, and conceive of reason generally as an entirely free and self-originating activity. They kept their eyes shut to the fact that they also had reached their doctrines in contradiction to valid methods, or through their longing for repose, or for exclusive possession, or for domination. A subtler development of sincerity and of skepticism finally made these men impossible. Their life also and their judgments turned out to be dependent on the primeval impulses and fundamental errors of all sentient being. The subtler sincerity and skepticism arose whenever two antithetical maxims appeared to be applicable to life, because both of them were compatible with the fundamental errors, where, therefore, there could be contention concerning a higher or lower degree of utility for life, and likewise where new maxims proved to be not in fact useful, but at least not injurious, as expressions of an intellectual impulse to play a game that was, like all games, innocent and happy. The human brain was gradually filled with such judgments and convictions, and in this tangled skein there arose ferment, strife, and lust for power. Not only utility and delight, but every kind of impulse took part in the struggle for truths. The intellectual struggle became a business, an attraction, a calling, a duty, an honour. Cognizing and striving for the true finally arranged themselves as needs among other needs. From that moment, not only belief and conviction, but also examination, denial, distrust, and contradiction became forces. All evil instincts were subordinated to knowledge, were placed in its service, and acquired the prestige of the permitted, the honoured, the useful, and finally the appearance and innocence of the good. Knowledge thus became a portion of life itself, and as life it became a continually growing power, until finally the cognitions and those primeval fundamental errors clashed with each other, both as life, both as power, both in the same man. The thinker is now the being in whom the impulse to truth and those life-preserving errors waged their first conflict. Now that the impulse to truth has also proved itself to be a life-preserving power, In comparison with the importance of this conflict, everything else is indifferent. The final question concerning the conditions of life is here raised, and the first attempt is here made to answer it by experiment. How far is truth susceptible of embodiment? That is the question. That is the experiment.